Listen-only mode.
Okay, let's start. Hello, everybody. I'm Torben Appel, representing Common Europe, the user organization, umbrella organization for local user groups throughout in Europe. I'm the president of Data3, which is the Swedish organization. I'm very happy that as many could register for this very important webinar. Steve Will, as you know, is the chief architect of IBM located in Rochester, and right now actually in Rochester as well. It's always important for the community to hear the message, the new messages from Rochester, and the best is, of course, to hear it directly from the Steve Will himself. I know he can speak on this topic for hours, so I'll hand over very soon. First of all, we're going to recording this webinar as well. And secondly, all questions, we don't have time for questions at the end, so all questions will be handled through the chat window and the question tools within GoToWebinar tool. Steve, I will mute myself and hand over to you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, and thanks everybody for dialing in, logging in to hear about IBM's trends and directions on a Friday afternoon for those of you in Scandinavian Europe. I appreciate it. It's a beautiful, sunny but cold morning here in Rochester, Minnesota. And I was just talking ahead of the call. I have been revising the trends and directions presentation slightly from last year because I want to do even more setting up what IBM's directions are in the context of what IBM is doing in general. And so if you look at what I'm going to be talking about here in the next several charts, we're going to start with kind of a big picture, what I'm hearing in the IBM market, and then what IBM is doing and what IBM is doing in the industry, so that then when we talk about IBM's big picture and directions, you have a better feel for the forces and directions that are going on within the entire community, and in particular, what's going on in IBM that is different than it has been and affects very positively, actually, the way IBM is headed in the future. Then I'm going to talk a bit at the end about some things that you may have heard before if you've been to presentations of mine or Alison Butterill's, but I want to make sure that if I'm doing a directions presentation that you get my version of it, again, in the context of what's going on in IBM. So these are the big picture items, the top items that I'll be talking about here in the next hour or so. So let's get started. I'm the chief architect. I've probably spoken to many of you, but if I haven't spoken to you, maybe we'll get a chance to meet at a future user group or conference. I am responsible for the strategy and the plan for the operating system. I work in development, and it is my job every year to take the input that we need to gather and then make sure that the strategy that we have is going to move us in the right direction. It is up to my team to present to me all the different things that they would like to do with the operating system and the associated products every year, and then we together make the decision on what is going to be strategically important to do. So as I go through this presentation here, you're sort of seeing what it is that has been the result of many people looking at what the market is saying, many people talking to clients and telling me what it is that client base wants. Now, in order to get this information to set the strategy, I Get to travel a lot, and it's one of the parts of my job that is different from the way previous chief architects did things. I like to get out and talk to clients, give presentations like this, but also listen to clients. And so here are some of the places I've been over the course of the last couple of years. It's been a great set of trips. I do not intend to stop traveling. I have not, if you look at the map, yet been to Africa or South America, where we have lots of customers. But Allison Butterill, our IBMI product manager, assures me that that can't last for long. I'm going to be there sometime. I don't have any trips there to the Caribbean. We have lots of clients there. So in any case, I've been all around the world to talk to customers about IBMI and to listen to what customers are saying about what they're doing with the platform and what they want to do with the platform. Now, you probably are already aware of this, but I just want everybody to understand that one of the reasons that I travel so much is that this platform, the IBMI platform, is used all around the world. While our biggest geography is still North America, Europe and Japan are very important, high volume, lots of customers who have built their businesses depending on our platform. And so we continue to take input from them, whether it's through travels such as I talked about, or whether it's through getting requirements from various user groups. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in detail a little later in the presentation. But it's not just about where in the world we are used, it's also how we are used. And this is going to be important as you see strategy in our directions. This platform grew up from being a business system. That's that application system that started out as the application system 400 and then moved up to being iSeries System I, and now the IBM I operating system on Power Systems has always been focused on doing business. Okay, and to do that, we have had a lot of different applications created by people who want to make their own living in lots of different industries around the world. And so while our technology is certainly world-class, leading-edge technology, we don't sell this platform based on technology so much as what a business can do with it. And so we talk to our solution vendors who are in these various industries, wholesale and distribution, retail, insurance, banking. We talk to them very frequently because the path to getting to our customers is through those business solutions. Now, some clients, of course, write their own applications, but they fall into the same category. They're not trying to do the next new technological thing so much as they're trying to take the next technology and do business. That's the marketplace that we have worldwide and in many industries, and so that's why we spend so much time talking to people around the world. So as I talk to people around the world and try and set this strategy, this direction for the platform, what is it that I'm hearing them say? Well, I'm hearing people talk about clouds. That's certainly the case. There are many different ways in which clouds have popped up into the IT marketplace. And many of our clients are very interested in how is the cloud going to affect this platform, and we'll talk about that some. But they're also interested in exactly what they're going to use it for their business. They see the kind of work they've been using their system for a long time. Some of them in our IBMI ecosystem wouldn't mind turning over control of their system to some cloud provider, and that's a growing part of our business. It really is. But there are still a majority of our clients who, while they're interested in cloud technology, the virtualization technology, they want to take control of their system and not have it be in a cloud somewhere. And so I hear both sides of this. Yes, I want to use the virtualization, but many of our clients still want to have physical control over their system, but they still want to take advantage of this stuff. Another thing that I hear very frequently is mobile. We have so many users out there who have mobile devices, and they ought to be able to communicate with our business, do business with us via their mobile devices. I've got people who work for me, employees and contractors and partners who want to be able to interact with the system that they've always had using their mobile devices. Hear this all the time, and of course, so many of our clients come from long ago when the only interfaces that were on this platform were green screen interfaces or green screen interfaces that got scraped onto the web. And they wonder what it is that we're doing with mobile. Are we going to be involved in the mobile revolution? But most of our clients, when I talk to them, while they are interested in cloud and they are interested in mobile, their biggest question to me is, where's the platform going? Do we have a future? What are we going to be doing about the various aspects of this platform that have been around for years, whether it's languages or the applications that are on it? And are we going to be able to use this well into the future? And that's, of course, a lot about what this presentation is about. As we look at the direction that this platform is headed, it has a very bright future, but it's important to understand the context in which IBM is putting out IBM I. So I'm going to talk a bit about what's been happening in IBM and then transition that into how that's affecting IBM I. As it turns out, IBM is becoming more like what IBM I has been than the other way around. IBM has made a significant transformation in the last couple of years. I'll give you a couple of examples as I go through this to explain what that transition has been. But as I saw all of the different announcements, and you've probably seen some of them too, as I saw the announcements that have happened in the last couple of years and tried to sort of categorize what it is that's different about IBM than it was a couple of years ago, the couple of things that I have come to talk about are IBM is now much more interested in specialization and partnership. Now let me contrast this, because while this may sound like just a marketing thing, I want you to think back onto the way you've thought about IBM, the way IBM has marketed itself over the course of the past 30 years. Generally speaking, pun intended, generally speaking, IBM has talked about itself in a very general way, not a specialized way, but a general way. We IBM are what you want if you want to do anything. If you're going to do anything related to computers, you come to us. We're general. We'll do anything. But that's not the case. In the last couple of years, and again, I'll show you examples here in a moment, we're specializing in the things that we are particularly good at. There are some things where IBM leads the world. Many of the technological advances that have come into the IT industry have come from IBM research and development. And then in the past, we would try to generalize those, but we're beginning to recognize the value of specializing in what we're exceptionally good at, and then partnering, the bottom part of the chart, partnering with people who are exceptional at other parts of delivering that IT technology to the marketplace. And so this is a good thing for IBM I, because this is the sort of thing we've been doing for more than 25 years. As I mentioned before, IBM I is a business platform. We have been specialized. That may sound like it's not specialization, but when you think of all the different things computing technology can be used for, okay, doing high-power graphics, doing high-intensity grid computing, many things computing can be used for, and IBM as a general business tried to be in every one of those spaces. IBM I and our predecessors did not. We said we're going to focus on being a platform that runs business applications very, very well, very, very efficiently. And we, IBM I, are going to partner with people to get that out into the marketplace. So from the beginning of the AS400, we've had business partners and ISVs who have done their part to get that stuff out there. Well, that's the methodology, that's the mindset now that IBM is beginning to have. Rather than saying we can do everything we need to ourselves, we're going to specialize in what we're really good at, and we're going to partner with people who are very, very good at other things. You'll have seen some of those examples of the kinds of things I'm talking about. For example, last year when IBM announced the partnership that we have now with Apple. IBM used to see Apple as basically a competitor. Now it's kind of strange to think that because IBM is heavy into the enterprise or business space. Apple is typically into the consumer space. But when we had, for example, the consumer X series, x86 stuff, it was hard for us to work so closely with Apple because they were perceived as being a competitor in that low-end consumer space. But now we're beginning to partner with them. They have an excellent set of consumer products and capabilities. They would like very much to get into the enterprise space. We're very good at the enterprise space, and so we started doing this joint development or joint work with them. Not starting with development, actually starting with support. I don't have time to talk about all of what went on or is going to go on, but the point is that we're beginning to do these kind of partnerships where we focus on the part that we're really good at and let our partners do what they're very good at. Another example of this that came out last year was the Twitter and IBM partnership. IBM is exceptional at being able to take our Watson technology and apply it to unstructured data that's coming in real time. Twitter wants to be able to sell information, sell advice to businesses based on what is going on in its Twitter data that it's getting. And so we've been able to do a partnership with them. And where is it going to go? Well, you can read some articles about it, but we're focusing on the technology that we're very good at, that we have patents in, that we have research and development going on, and they are going to focus on what they're very good at, which is gathering all this information, having it go out real time, and so on. So we're going to focus on some of the things that we're very good at. One of those things is Watson. Now, this is a somewhat silly example of what Watson has done, but we've proven that Watson is not just good at answering questions on game shows. We've been able to apply that technology in a lot of different ways, including Chef Watson, which was an application of Watson where it studied many millions and millions of recipes from all around the world and began to understand itself what ingredients were pleasing when placed together. And so Chef Watson has been given challenges to create new recipes based on a sort of random list of ingredients, and has been able to create things that had never been created for, but which are still pleasing to people. This application of the technology, while it seems a little lighthearted, shows that the underlying technologies are very applicable to a lot of different areas. And that's what IBM is trying to do into the future. Take technologies such as Watson, not only Watson, but such as Watson, that we own and are working with, to apply them to new problems. All right, so if we're going to do specialization and partnership, let's take this down to something that's closer to what IBM I cares about, which is the Power Systems platform. Right? We are exceptional at designing computer systems, particularly down at the chip level, the I/O level, and so on. When Power 8 came out, this was the marketing set of phrases that were used about Power 8. It's designed for big data. There are superior cloud economics, and it's an open innovation platform. These are all things that we designed into Power 8, and they aren't just marketing messages. When Power was designed, it was designed to be able to handle more data than x86 much more quickly, in a much more connected way than ever before, for example. And so Power 8 is something that we're going to specialize in, and the powers that come beyond that, Power 9 and Power 10. So we're going to focus on that. But as we focus on that, we're going to partner with people. And so you will have heard probably of the Open Power Foundation. It came into existence in 2013, but there were big changes last year as we began to partner with more people. What we did as a company was say, we've got this technology. It is a significantly better technology for many, many purposes now and in the future than the x86 technology. We're going to start listening to people who want to use it and partner with them and let them be specifically specialized in what they're very good at. So when Open Power was initially created as an idea, it actually came about because Google came to IBM and said, we can't get x86 to do what we need it to do to create the kind of systems that we need to run our business. Intel's not very flexible in what they're going to do, plus they don't have the capabilities of Power. We would like to work with Power, but we, Google, do not want to just buy off-the-shelf systems. That's not how we do business. We build our systems ourselves. We want to work with you, IBM, on figuring out how to take the Power technology and applying it to our business. This was at the time we were beginning to see as a company we needed to do more of this specialization and partnership. And so we gathered not only Google, but NVIDIA, who's very, very good at specializing in accelerators. We gathered with Tyan, we gathered with all of these people grew up around this because they had specific specialties and were willing to partner with IBM and the rest of the group to bring their specialties into this ecosystem in ways that we could not have done if we were just IBM. So here is another big example of how IBM is specializing and then working with partners. And this is affecting the way we do business, not only just the business angle, but also how we're designing things into the future. There's going to be much more input from outside groups who are very good at what they're good at, such as NVIDIA, for example. But it has made a big difference in the business results related to IBM and Power Systems, and then to IBMI. You can have, just use any search engine to go out and find out about IBM and Intel, IBM and x86 in China. Here's an example that I grabbed from last week from the Motley Fool. IBM is challenging Intel in China. I can tell you IBM is challenging Intel around the world. Open Power is a way to challenge Intel's dominance in the multi-server space in ways we've never been able to attack them before. But in particular, we're challenging them in China. And in fact, while this is a very recent article, from last year, the fall of last year, you can see the date line on this is October 31st of last year, there was a very important announcement in China. China is a country where the business, even the technological business, is essentially directed by the government. And a couple of years ago, the Chinese government changed. Every 10 years or so they change over, and when they did, they slowed down the purchase of anything from outside of China, particularly from the US and Europe, because they want, reasonably, to create their own industry of IT. They want to be able to create their own systems and all the associated things that go with systems so that they don't have to be dependent on the outside world. This would make sense to us if we're in China, just like for us in the United States. It makes sense for us to want to buy from America. We don't want to be particularly connected to to somebody else for everything that we have. They want to create their own industry. Well, when they started seeing that we were going to do open power, they made their decision that the ecosystem they're going to create within their own company and within their own country is to create companies whose IT technology was going to be based on Power, not x86. This has been tremendously important for us as a company, but also as IBMI. We have a large number of customers in China. Had the government said, no, you're going to have to move to x86, they would have been forced to look at other solutions much more strongly. Now they can know that they're going to work on Power, whether it's Power that comes from IBM from outside of China or whether it's Power inside of China. It's okay now to use Power. That's what the Chinese government has done, and that has come as a direct result of some of the things that have happened with IBM specializing in Power but being willing to partner. So you will have seen perhaps an announcement a couple weeks ago about the very first power system based on power, produced by another company and sold to the general public. That was a Chinese company selling it in China. Now, IBMI is not necessarily going to run on that box right away, maybe never, but it did, as I said, open up the way for us to sell IBMI into China again, because now we're on the platform that the Chinese government wants to encourage. We're going to continue as IBM to invest then in the next set of technologies. $3 billion over the next 5 years in just two. This isn't the total R&D. This is just two of the R&D programs that push us to that next level of semiconductors that will be needed for the families beyond Power 8. So we are continuing to invest in that, but we are not as focused on being the sole provider of the systems that come out that have that technology in it. So how does IBMI fit into all this? Well, we are still a key part of this power system strategy. While Power Systems wants to sell into this new space where other people are building systems with power on it, we've still got a role to play in our specialty. Our specialty is running systems that are running businesses to do the core business applications that they need. And even in China, we're being used there, as we are in Europe, and again, as I showed you on the map, around the world. Our strategy and roadmap paper got updated in the late spring of last year, and at the front of it, we've got the letter from Doug Balog, our general manager, and I just want to pull out this quote to make it clear to you what he says. He wants to assure you, this is the IBMI customer, that IBM is committed to the IBMI platform as a vital component of our power system portfolio. It's key to our broader strategy of investing in enterprise systems and storage. Enterprise systems and storage there means systems for businesses, not the consumer marketplace. Our IBM power system strategy is about selling to businesses, and we are a key part of that. And we are. We make a great deal of money and profit for the IBM Corporation, and we do it targeting small and medium businesses, running their businesses in a very integrated way. Nobody within IBM other than IBMI has that part of the marketplace, and so we are key to that strategy because we are supposed to serve that marketplace. So in that strategy document, it talks about the commitment that Power has to IBMI. We're going to continue to extend new capabilities that are based on the value of our integration. We're going to embrace mobile applications because we know that mobile is where people want to go for their interfaces, but you need to connect that back to the business value that's been running your platform for so long. We're going to enable, moving down into the middle, rapid innovation. We're going to lower IT costs, and at the very bottom, we're going to foster social media interchange. I don't know if you've noticed it, but we've been trying very hard over the course of the last 4 and 5 years to engage with our clients via social media, whether it's blogs or Twitter or DeveloperWorks, so that it's much easier for us to quickly get information out to our marketplace and to get information back from our marketplace to get a feel for what our customers are doing. So as we take all of that then and try and apply it to the roadmaps that we have, now we're going to start hitting some charts that you may have seen before, but it's in this new context. All right, our power roadmap is the top of this chart. We're going to be a part of Power Systems. That's been a very good thing for us. It's where we fit in the IBM company. Okay, but then we have a set of software deliverables that will be coming out to support that roadmap. In terms of the hardware roadmap, of course, we're delivering Power 8. We aren't even done delivering Power 8. The last of the Power 8 systems comes out in the second quarter of this year, and of course, we're already working on Power 9. And in fact, we're not just working on Power 9. We know there are technologies that we're not going to be able to get into Power 9, and that'll have to go into the next set of chips that we design. We've already begun work on that. What can we not do in Power 9, but we can see can be done, and we're going to start doing that in Power 10. Now this chart says, or whatever it is named. And of course, I'm not announcing any Power names at this point, but one can imagine that there would be a power into the future, and we may as well for the time being call them Power 9 and Power 10. But whatever it is we're doing, we're now doing it with this specialization and partnership. Okay, you're working with NVIDIA, for example, on what the next technologies are for accelerators that we can incorporate into the power-based systems that are coming out into the future, and so on. Right? So there's a roadmap out there well into the future of systems on which IBM I can run. And then the roadmap for IBM I itself looks very similar to what we've been showing for the past few years. Right? 6.1 will go out of support this year. The 7.1 release, many of our clients are on. The 7.2 release is getting good adoption in the marketplace, and it's important for us to understand from a roadmap point of view, from a directions point of view, we've got major releases that are coming into the future. I've got teams working right now very hard getting the next release, the next major release out. But there are things we know we're not going to be able to do in that release. We've already got some design work going on for the release beyond that. Okay, so there's the 7.2 release, got released less than a year ago now. Okay, sometime in the future we'll have the next release, but I've already got a release beyond that under preparation. But very importantly, when we produced 7.1, we gave ourselves the capability to put out new things in between major releases. These technology refreshes are done twice per year to put out new capabilities on top of the major releases that are out there. And so I don't just have the team working on the next major release. We've also got the team working on those deliverables that come out in between releases. And so later this spring, about a month from now, we will have another announcement about the second technology refresh for 7.2 and the 10th technology refresh for 7.1. Those technology refreshes will have the support for the latest power systems, but they'll also have a number of new capabilities in database, in I/O, in virtualization, in software development, and so on. So there are new things coming out all the time. Then we've got the support roadmap. I'm getting a little feedback or noise on the line. I don't know if somebody's not on mute anymore. Just want to let you know that. The support roadmap talks about how far out into the future then the releases that we currently have are going to be supported. Now, I'm not announcing anything about when 7.1's end of support is, but we know that the end of support for 6.1 is this year, 2015. If 7.1 lived that long because it came out 4 years after 6.1 did, its end of service date would be 4 years from now, or 2019. The 7.2 release, 2 years anyway, would be out there. 7.2 came out 4 years after 7.1, excuse me. Okay, and so its end of service date would be 4 years past when 7.1's would be. Now, I'm not announcing the end dates of those releases. These are just general time frames because we haven't actually made that decision. I'm not being coy with you. We haven't made the decision about when 7.1 will end. But if it lived as long as 6.1 did, if 7.2 lived as long as 6.1 did, we're out into the 2020s before that you'd have to move off those releases. And I've told you there are new releases coming, and so you would be able to move on to a release that's going to continue to get supported well into the 2020s, whether you're on Next or Next Plus One. And we're doing new function in those releases as well. It's not just a matter of supporting them. Now, as we set our plan, we listened to sources of input from IBM. I've already talked some about that, from the technologists that we talk to, both inside and outside IBM. But we also listen to what our customers are asking us to do. We have a passionate, active community around the world. The folks in Sweden are certainly a part of that. Common Europe is part of that. But we have people all around the world giving us feedback, gathering together and talking about what it is that they're doing with the platform. And we listen to all of them as we go and talk to them at their various locations. But we also have ways to get customer input in a formal way. And that's what this chart is meant to talk about. We have a large user group. Many of you will have heard of it, but if you haven't heard of it before, this is more than 100 companies who use the largest power systems. So these are power systems that might have anywhere from 32 to 96 cores of platform, okay, processing power, and they're using those systems, many of them multiples of those large systems, to run their business using IBM I. These are not clients using just AIX or just Linux on power. These are running their businesses on big boxes that are running IBM I. So they have requirements for us that are typically slightly different from our small and medium business clients, because they need us to grow big and they need us to be able to do transactions at extremely high volume. Well, then we have our Common Americas and Common Europe Advisory Council, who tend to represent the requirements that come from our small and medium business space, where most of our volumes are. We still sell small systems to smaller enterprises that are very important businesses, but they use those smaller systems, and so they have different kinds of requirements typically than our large customers do. Some of the requirements are similar, but we get requirements from those groups. We also have an ISV Advisory Council that gives us requirements based on what our solution vendors are going to need from the platform. And then to go around the circle, I have at the bottom right our IBM I study tour. I've got a portion of our development team has been in Beijing, China now for about a decade. They go out and talk to the clients in China and give us feedback. We've got development that we do with specific ISVs, such as SAP, where we have joint developers who work on the SAP that runs on IBM I. Some of those developers are IBMers, and some of those work for SAP. We've listened to our cloud and managed service providers, because that's a growing part of our industry. And then we have customer briefings and planning sessions that happen here in Rochester and sometimes out at customer sites, where we talk to typically larger customers about where they're going in the future so that they can understand where we're going, and we can make sure that we're all going to be going there together. So we talk to these customers, whether it's at individual briefings or whether it's at events such as the user groups that you guys have, and we get all of this input. Now here's what our clients are telling us they want to do with this platform. They want to get more information out of their data, because the data resides on I. They want it to reside on I. That's where the applications are, okay, but they want to get more information out of that. They want to do high availability and disaster recovery. They want to use cloud technology, even if they're not going to specifically provide their services via cloud. They want to use that technology. Then everybody has solutions that they want to make modern. But those solutions are investments that have been made over many years into the business processes that run those businesses. So they don't want to rip and replace. They want to take that investment and modernize it. Everybody's concerned about security, and many people are moving to exploit the new storage technologies that are available in storage area networks, flash, SSD, and so on. So these are the kinds of things our clients are telling us they want to do. And so as you see the directions of the platform, we are answering in those particular project areas. Our priorities, when we set our priorities for what's going to go into our plan, are these. Number one, as I mentioned before, we've always been a solution-based platform, solutions that will run businesses. And so we focus on integrating things that will be necessary for our solution providers. That means we continue to invest heavily in our database. Our database is separate from the DB2s that are on the other platforms that IBM sells, and so we invest heavily in that to make sure it's going to have the kind of database technology that are needed for the applications of the future. We also focus on doing new language capabilities, whether that's getting newer languages like PHP, making sure that a language that's in heavy use around the world like Java runs really well on the platform, or new capabilities for the existing languages like RPG. We're going to make sure, second big bullet, that our systems will run as well in the cloud as they do on site, because there are so many of our business partners and ISVs who are now providing cloud-based solutions for their customer base. And then we're going to remain simple and integrated, secure and available. I know if you've been on this platform for a long time, this sounds very much like what we've been saying for a long time, and it is my belief that a strategy, if it's well executed, does not need to change very much. Over the course of the last 7 years that I've been in this job, we probably have mobile device support on this chart that we didn't 7 years ago. As it's become clearer, we've got to do things in mobile. We've got more mention of cloud than we probably did 7 years ago, as it's become clearer that many of the growth parts of our business are in this cloud or software as a service environment. But many of these things are the things we've been doing and investing in all along. We just take advantage of new technologies in the DB2 space or the language space or the security space because our customers expect us to integrate that technology, not to stay on old technology. So really what our direction is, what our strategy is about extending the value of the systems of record, the things that run your business, out into this cloud space, this mobile space, by providing within the operating system the necessary technologies to build solutions in a cloud space, to build solutions in a mobile space. And that's what we've been doing. As you looked at that previous priorities chart, we're making sure as we put things into plan that they will be the kinds of things that are needed for our solutions in the future, and that means mobile, it means cloud, but it also means keeping the value of the system of record we've always had of being very securable and so on. Now, one of the things that means is we have to give our clients a way to modernize the applications that they have, whether that's in user experience or in the way they're using the database, making their code flexible, or using great tools to do things ever more efficiently. We are investing in all of these technologies so that customers can modernize in any of these ways. And if you want to see some of the things we've been doing that will allow you to do that, I highly encourage you to get access to these red books and probably one more. The one that's on the left is the Modernization Red Book. Now this is over 800 pages. I know that's daunting, but it has a lot of information about the technologies that are available that can help you modernize your application, whether it's in the area of how it looks on the screen, what kinds of devices you can use, but also in how you do database, which is very important to modernize, because if you use modern SQL, you can do things in just a few statements that used to take whole programs to do, and you can ensure that we are going to optimize the performance of that for you because we've been investing. And so not just user interface, but also virtualization, also database. On the right-hand side is the red book that we produce with every major release now. Every major release, we put out a technical overview that talks about how you can use the various things we've given you in the major release, and then we incorporate new technology refresh content as it becomes available twice a year. So that is a very important document, again, to get if you're going to try and take advantage of the technologies that we're giving you. I also mentioned there's probably one more. The IBM i 7.1 technical overview with TR updates is very important as well, because many of you are still on 7.1, and even those of you who moved to 7.2, we don't re-describe what we put out in 7.1. But if you've been sitting on 5.4 or 6.1 for a long time, you definitely want to know what has come out in 7.1 and 7.2. We have a strategy to embrace more open source on this platform, not because the stuff that's based on non-open source is going away, but in order to open up the platform to more different solutions. And so many of the things that we've put on the platform in the open source environment, whether it's Apache or PHP, are there to provide new programming models, right? The web-based programming models depend on a web server. Web application servers are necessary, but PHP is also necessary if you're going to put a new open source technology, new open source solutions onto the platform. And those have been very important to a subset of our clients. Maybe you use them, maybe you never will. Maybe your business doesn't like the idea of taking something from open source. That's fine if that's what you want to do, but we have a good portion of our marketplace that wants to build on open source, but they still want the reliability, the securability that they get from IBM i, and they want to be able to connect it to DB2, which is such a scalable, powerful database, as opposed to using the open source databases that are typically out there in and used in flat file format. And so now our focus, our direction is to continue to support the kinds of solution providers that have always been on the platform, but also to provide capabilities for these open source vendors to get solutions to our marketplace. And again, this is what some of our customers really want. There's a good portion of our Japanese marketplace that wants us to be open source friendly because they want to run open source on this platform. Now we continue to compare very well to our competition. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. I'm going to direct you to my blog where I talked about it if you want to see more details and get the links. But ITG did a comparison of us against our competition in small and medium business and enterprise last year, and it showed again that we continue to be very competitive. Their small and medium business comparisons show that over the course of a 3-year span, we are very competitive in acquisition costs because you typically only have to acquire one power system to be able to run your entire small or medium business as opposed to many x86s to do the same thing. But then, very importantly, the ongoing costs, our total cost of ownership, is about half of what it is on an x86 platform. And we've got customers who've seen that result. If you've seen me present over the last couple of years, you've probably seen this example, so I won't dwell on it. But North American Construction Group moved from x86 on the same application to IBM I and Power and got a 52% reduction year over year in their costs because it's so much simpler and reliable to run on this platform. When comparing in the enterprise space for total cost of ownership, they said that a part of the cost of operation, especially for enterprise level customers, is when something is unreliable, it costs you. And so they did a study to try and compare how much each platform was costing a business because the solution was unavailable. So what they did first is say for a bank, for example, how much does it cost a bank to be down for an hour? And these numbers represented then how much hourly they were losing. And they determined that on different platforms, it was significantly different for how many hours they were down and therefore how many hours they were losing money. And this shows the IBM I and Power as being significantly lower in terms of the number of hours or dollars, money that were costing businesses because they were down. This is a measure of reliability that helps to show that total cost of ownership is not just about how much it costs to run the data center, but also how much it costs you if your system is less reliable. Now we're doing all of this with an eye towards our architecture. This single-level store architecture, database architecture, virtualization architecture remains the core of what we do. In particular, as I mentioned before, we continue to invest in database because database has to be the core of our platform. We are a database machine, and so we need to invest in the kinds of things that customers are going to do with a database, whether that's using it to do security, things like row and column access control, or our intelligent use of SSDs. We continue to invest in this platform on our database. It's because we have a separate database, but our customers expect our database to do things other databases don't. Now, we continually get questions about differences between our database and the other DB2s or other databases that are out there in the industry. In particular, last year, one of the big topics was column-based databases versus row-based databases, which is what DB2 on I is. And I just put this out there. If you want a description, a high-level description of what databases, row versus column, are out there, I wrote a blog after having spoken with our database chief architect for a while. I wrote a blog about it to explain that the whole hype around column-based databases is interesting, and in fact, IBM I has a way to address column-based programming if you want to, but it's not as cut and dried as those people who are out there selling you columnar databases want you to believe. So I'd suggest that you go look at that. We don't have time to talk about it here. Now, in the mobile space, we've been doing a lot of investment in IBM I. Not that we are producing mobile devices, but that you can attach IBM I to mobile devices using technologies that we ship. So the top list here are some things that we've done that we've incorporated into IBM I to allow you to write software that easily connects to mobile devices, whether it's open access, the XML services, our new JSON support, also the ability that we have now for you to use Access, our IBM I Access, on a mobile device to manage the system and do various technologies. Those things have been incorporated into what we ship you with IBM I. then there are a number of products that are coming out that are specifically targeting IBM I as a backend, but use a mobile device. And these are just IBM things. There are a lot of our business partners who are doing mobile solutions for their software. In the cloud space, there's people using cloud as a software as a service to provide new clients to the platform. So MorePay is a British company that got 3,000 brand new clients running on IBM I in about a year and a half by taking an RPG program that was initially marketed only as a single box system and turning it into a software as a service or a cloud environment. So they still have 7,000 clients who buy systems and run their solutions on those systems. But now they've got 3,000 more clients who run on systems that MorePay buys from IBM. This is the future of growth for a while here with IBM and our ISVs. ISVs who can figure out how to get their solutions out there and competing in the cloud marketplace are going to win business for IBM. Then we've got folks like Tieto, who you are probably quite familiar with, who are using the virtualization technologies not just of IBM, but also of Power Systems to provide clouds for their customers in the banking industry, for example. So there is a lot of technology we've had in place for a long time, subsystems and the way to separate data that allow you to do cloud-like things on this platform. But there's also the Power VM-based and in the future Power VC-based cloud technology that's common across all of the operating systems of Power. So as you look at the themes of what we've been producing in 7.2, you can see many of these themes that I was talking about. There's growth areas in mobile. There's cloud technology. There's taking what we're very good at with Power and applying that to the IBM I marketplace. There's the integrated technology because we are the integrated solution on IBM I, and applying that integrated technology to security in our database or management or growing the platform. All of these themes harken back to what we're doing as a platform, right? We are getting solutions, business solutions to the marketplace with advanced technology. One of those kinds of technology we've been investing in is our Power HA solution. Our high availability solution is meant to be used in an HA environment. It's also meant to do disaster recovery, and it is integrated with the IBM storage area network solutions that are out there so that we can integrate with, for example, their flash copy support and their hyperswap support. So we can be one solution based on a hardware that we have, whether it's the storage hardware or the system hardware. And we continue to invest in that because some of our clients really want a solution that comes directly from IBM, and we have advantages in this that other HA vendors cannot do because we are part of this operating system. We have connections down to our IBM SAN that no one else is taking advantage of. So high availability is one of those things that customers are asking for. They're also asking for, if you remember the chart about projects they're doing, not just mobile and cloud, not just availability, but they also want to be able to do more things with their data. And that tends to lead people to analytics. Now, the simplest analytics solution we have on this platform is something we've done in partnership. We specialize in the database. They specialize in taking that, Information Builder specializes in taking that information in the database and graphically displaying it for you. WebQuery is an excellent basic analytics product for many customers to get real-time views of what's going on in their system and in their data. And so we continue to work with them. But some of our clients would prefer something with a little bit more heft. They want to do actual warehousing. And so to do that, they might want to use Cognos. Now, Cognos doesn't run directly on I. We've certainly done work to see if it could run on I, but one of the things we've discovered is that when people want to use a Cognos workload, typically they want to actually take copies of the data and move it over to a different place anyway. And so the way that we're doing that is by connecting Cognos that's running in another partition to our database using the JDBC connectors, and you can get a very advanced analytics solution. But some of our clients know plenty about their own data. They write their own applications. And so they found that using the interfaces that we give them in SQL, they can do their own business analytics. And so this is an example of one, Home Bargains, who wrote their own solutions to get real-time views of what's going on in their data using the technology that is built into IBMI's DB2. So whether you're doing analytics, whether you're doing mobile, whether you're doing cloud, whatever you're doing that's future but still trying to take advantage of IBMI, that's the direction that we're going as a platform. Our trend continues to be to apply the technology that we have in a way that allows you to move into the future without disrupting the things that we've done in the past. So our strategy remains to be a power solutions platform. We're going to be a solution platform for businesses on power. We're going to be open. We're going to support open technologies, using open source, for example, or using technologies that allow us to talk to other things easily, providing languages that everybody knows. But we're going to remain the integrated platform on power, delivering a simple, high-value platform for business applications. We're not going out there and trying to compete with the Googles of the world. They're using our technology at a lower level, using the power technology as I described before. We're going to provide that business solution to help customers run businesses as they always have. Because businesses continue to grow, they need us to continue to grow and be with them. So in closing, I'll just remind you of something we said during our 25th birthday celebration. It's going on 2 years ago now, but it remains the same. What we all know in the technology industry is that technology is going to change. The reason that IBMI is still in existence when so many of our competitors from the late 80s and early 90s and early 2000s even have disappeared is because IBMI is built to change with it. The architecture that we have, the commitment that we get from IBM to serve this marketplace remains strong. Between that technology that we have that we can build new technology on and the significant value we provide to the IBM Corporation, we have a very good future on IBMI. So I have taken up most of our hour. I hope you have learned something. Please, if you have questions, submit them, and we'll try to get back to them. But I also want to point you to the blog, my IBMI blog called You and I on the IBM Systems Magazine site is where I try to put out a lot of these messages so that you don't have to remember where a webcast is and listen through it, so that you can have a link that you can share with people. And from that, if you go back to the blog that I did at the end of 2014, I have many links to important information, whether it's the IBMI website that IBM has, or other blogs or other places you can get information, such as the total cost of ownership studies I cited. All of that stuff becomes available on my blog to make it easy for you to get the information and then to share that information with people that you meet in your organization or outside of it who need that information. So thanks again for listening to me. I really appreciate it, and I'll turn it over to Torbjörn in case there's anything else he needs to say.
No, I just want to say thank you, Steve, for a very good and important presentation, and thanks to all attendees that showed up. I recorded this one, and we should publish it somewhere. We'll spread the message after this. Have a good working day in Rochester, Steve. Have a good weekend, and see you in Anaheim at the big Common Conference.
I'll see you there.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.